Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. This is episode 30, the big 3-0.
Ooh.
It's been, that's a lot of episodes. And how long have we done this? For 6 months now?
We're about 6 months into this Puck and Stuff adventure, and I would just like quickly to thank all you guys because we wouldn't have gone to 30 except without you guys. And we're on YouTube, we're almost at 50 subs, so if you guys would be much appreciated if we leave a like and a comment, and please subscribe. I really want to see us get to 50 at least, and then see where we go from there. Keep going up, right?
Very much so. Thanks, guys. And of course, well, like always, you always got to say this. Our lovely podcast is now sponsored by, well, A Man Can Dream.
A man can dream.
Well, a man can dream that a few signings, a few things going on in the hockey world, nothing too crazy. One team looks like in the next few years they might be completely different. We'll see how it all works out, but I guess we'll kind of get into some of that stuff in today's episode, hey?
All right, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
T-Dog, I would like to hear what you got for signings and any little pieces that's been going on in the last week since we've been gone.
Perfect. Okay, so I got my little sturdy list here, so I'll just go through a quick few signings, see what we think about them, and then go into the more important stuff per se. But here we go. So, Nashville Predators, they have signed Yakov Trenin to a 2-year deal worth 1.7 AAV. I think that had to do with arbitration, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah.
Keegan Kolesar of the Vegas Knights. Unfortunately, we have to say that Vegas gets a W on this one. 3 years, 1.48 mil AAV. I think it's just a solid deal all around, right?
Yeah.
Tyler Benson of the Oilers signs for 1 year, $750K. Carolina signs Maxime Lajoie to a 1 year, $750K. Mason Appleton is signed to the Winnipeg Jets, 3 years, worth 2.166 AAV. Those ones are important, so we'll talk about those later. Excuse me. Pavel Zach of the Bruins, 1 year, worth 1 year, $3.5 million for the year. Dave Lowry is now assistant coach of the Winnipeg Jets. Vegas signs Nick Waugh to a 5-year deal worth $3 million per year. That's something else to think. Hey, Martin Necas of the Carolina Hurricanes signs 2 years, $3 million. Riley Sheahan of the Buffalo Sabres signs 1 year, $950K. Chicago signs their just recently drafted Kevin Krasniqi to an entry-level deal there. Caleb Jones is signed to the Blackhawks there, 1 year, worth $1.35 million. And then we have a few of the bigger ones. So, any of those that kind of intrigue you there before I get into the 3 ones that I kind of want to also think about?
No, just some pretty average signings. Surprisingly, Vegas getting a W on that one, but no, I think we should head right into the big ones, honestly.
I think Nick Waugh too. I mean, it's just they don't have a lot of assets. I saw something on Instagram that they don't have any. I wonder if I could find it on Instagram. I'm actually on it right now, but it said that they don't have any assets from the trades of Fleury and some of their other big ones.
Like Max Pacioretty.
That and Suzuki.
Oh.
Those are the 2 big ones. I'm like, man, that's crazy. So
They have no more assets from that left.
Well, it's good that they signed some players, but they don't have a lot. That team doesn't have good asset management, we can tell, hey?
Yeah, Vegas has kind of been looking on the downfall ever since that Stanley Cup Final fall, honestly, because they went out and got Stone, and that was a big pickup for them, and then they went out and got Eichel, and you thought with those 2 pieces, who else did they got? Oh, they also got Pietrangelo, and then they pick up Robin Leonard, and they screwed over Fleury, obviously. So now you're looking at Vegas, and you're like, what's happening before they just kind of collapse, right? Unless all their superstars can connect and finally get it back together. And there was also another big news factor with Vegas involving Robin Leonard going out for a whole season, hip injury. And now you just lost a huge goaltender for Vegas, and you don't know if your superstars will finally connect or not. So if you're looking at Vegas, I would be kind of concerned.
I think this is a good topic, so I think we just keep going on with this. Let's actually go into that then. So the injury, right? Robin Leonard is out with a hip surgery, similar to I think what Monahan had. And he's out the entirety of the season. I look at here right now, Vegas is negative $5.7 million over the cap. But of course, that's added all the players. Once you put on LTIR, for Leonard's $5 million per year is out. So is Laurent Brossoit, $2.3 million. As well with injuries too. Nolan Patrick, he's expected to go that, which really sucks, man. Like Nolan Patrick, really, he just his career, man, it's just unfortunate. And just injuries, but was so young. It's like just the promise that he had coming to the draft. And
it couldn't work with Philly, and I thought it would have worked a little bit better with Vegas. But he's having a little bit of a stumble for the first part of his career. But, hey, we've seen many players bounce back from
the
it.
problem is injuries. Like, if you look at Nolan Patrick's career so far, he has played 222 games and only 77 points. But a lot of that too, right? Like, he could have played a lot more games, of course, with the injuries. But it's unfortunate, right? And you know what? Just some people just get the injury bug, some don't. It seems like it's Vegas' turn to get the injury bug, right? It seems like it's like a flu season, eh? It's like it goes to some teams. Like, I went to Edmonton for a little bit. I remember I went to like Vancouver.
I
hit Calgary in the playoffs, right? So it's when you don't want it. So we'll see where it goes next in the Pacific Division, hey? But maybe LA or something. I don't know, but
I could see LA being the next little injury bug for the middle of the season. Just jumps right to them.
But then, of course, LTIR for sure was Weber. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness. So, anyways, I was gonna go into this. So you look at this team in general, and so right now, their goalies aren't even on like the official
team.
Yeah, because they're on the injured. So you have to go down and look at it. So right now, what it would be is Logan Thompson and someone of Michael Hutchinson would somewhat be their one and two. Now, I think Logan Thompson had a pretty decent season last year, so I would like to see how he does. I think give him some time. I think, you know what, some good support. The team can score. It says that defense, I feel like, you know what, that defense is expensive, right? So you just hope it can just help out, right? I mean, let's look at their defense. Petrangelo's with 8.8 per year, 5.25 from Alec Martinez, Shea Theodore 5.2 mil, McNabb is worth 2.8, Zach Whiteclaw's 2.75, and then it's Ben Hutton. So it's a lot of cap problems there. And I like Thompson. But do you think, like, of course, because they have... This is pretty Vegas of them to do it. So I think, why wouldn't they, with the cap space they have through LTIR, do you just go make a trade, make a signing, something like that? I mean, I don't know what goalies they would want to look for right now, but very possible. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I think you're kind of right you're on the right topic with Vegas. I think they need to take a gamble here and make some trades to be able to figure out this, because Robin Leonard was supposed to be your starter. That was your go-to starter. Hip destroyed. He's gone for the season. And now I wouldn't be surprised seeing Vegas make a few trades in the next couple of weeks here, trying to find a goaltender that'll fit, because we were just even mentioning with this, even with all that star potential and power that they have on their offense and defense, who knows if it's truly enough to be able to carry if you only have I wouldn't say like a great goaltender, but he's a very average goaltender that looks more like a solid backup goaltender for your team. But I don't see them taking that next step for a starting role, but I could see them trading one of their big assets for something. Who knows?
See here who are the UFAs for this season.
All right.
Had Braden Holtby, injury. Tyler Wall, Roman Turney, Tyler Parsons, hey, that's a name I haven't heard in a minute. Corey Schneider, Andrew Hammond, Michael McNiven, Adam Huska, Kalen Booth. So just a bunch of like AHLers and stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. But yeah, they probably have to make some trade or a deal or something like that for.
Most of their like star powers with most of the cap crunch, aren't they like signed long term, like pretty decently long term?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. So I'm just looking again at the goalies, but yeah, if I go back, let me just quickly go back to Vegas there. They're signed for a decent amount of years, so it's like, and as age progresses, and you don't have much of a team built, or you don't have much of a farm team, or much of a. You don't have a lot of young prospects, that's going to really struggle them. Yeah, right? Eichel doesn't become a UFA till 2026. I don't think that matters. 2027, 2028, Mark Stone is locked in for that. William Karlsson's locked in for that, and that's not your problem. Let's go back to the defense that you were saying. Pietrangelo doesn't become a UFA till 2027, 2028. I don't know what his note is. He has a no movement clause in his terms.
Oh, brother.
So you probably wouldn't even be able to trade him to like that 2025, 2026 season or
how old is he? Yeah, but Pietrangelo is decently in his prime though, right?
Pietrangelo is 32.
Oh, okay. So he's just about to exit. He's
not terrible. He's not a terrible player either. Like there's nothing against him. It's just the way
I would still say he's a top 15 defenseman.
But 8.8 just hurts when you're in that situation, right? And like, it's like how everyone looks at the Jones or the Nurse contracts. Like, yeah, but really, that much money? Like,
But I think in that scenario as well, I would think Petrangelo is a better defenseman than Nurse, in my personal opinion. You saw what he did with the Blues, and he was insane with them.
I would like to say that, yeah.
I would say it's pretty close, but I think I would still put Petrangelo over Nurse.
I want to say Petrangelo has better offensive ability, but at the same time,
he's also got the build.
I don't know. It depends, right? Like how you think of it. But at the end of the day, it's just 8.8 is going to hurt no matter what, even if it is. I mean, the only time it doesn't hurt is when you pay 8.8 and it's like a forward or maybe it's a Cale Makar type player in defense and they're scoring points at will, right?
But they did pay that man that much money for a reason to be your top one defenseman. And if you look at Vegas, yeah, he really is. Yeah. There is Shea Theodore, I believe, also on that talk as well as a top one defenseman with him. And how much is he getting paid?
$5.2 million up until 2025-2026.
That's not too bad.
The one that... Yeah, and then of course Martinez is 5.25 till 2020. So like
that one's tough.
That one sucks. But honestly, yeah, Vegas is in a weird spot. Weird to see. I mean, this team, you don't know, right? Like this team still has the ability on paper. They're up there, right? But
to actually contend, probably
100% they are, right? And especially if their forward line gets going, Eichel's healthy and he has a full season and he plays up to what he can do, I bet you he gets a 90-point season.
Yeah.
I could see it, right? Like, I think he's hungry to prove himself. He wants to get to those playoffs, man. I don't think he wants to be known as, like, the Eichel curse, as everyone likes to say now, right?
Yeah.
No one makes playoffs.
I think Vegas is putting themselves in a really interesting situation with no starter, but they'll figure it out eventually. I see a trade soon. But anyways... What else do we got for more big news?
So speaking of injuries, and then we'll just go into those trades there. There's another one that I wanted to talk about. Is Max Pacioretty. So now we kind of get that understanding as to why Carolina got Pacioretty from the Knights for nothing, because his future considerations was in the trade.
Yeah.
He's out for 6 months with an Achilles.
Oof.
I think he's getting the surgery in those 6 months. But so Carolina doesn't have him right now. I don't think it really affects them too much, per se, because let's just look at their line here. Okay, Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, Teuvo Teravainen, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, right?
Yeah.
Marty Necas, Jesper Foss, Jordan Martinhook, Andre Kasha, Seth Jarvis, Lane Pedersen, and Jordan Stahl is their forward group. So I don't think it really affects too much, per se. I think they're still going to have a great season without him. Come playoff time, he can play healthy, and if Pacioretty can get back to that form that Vegas wanted him to be when they first got him, will be very nice for Carolina, and Carolina could really improve their playoff experience, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Carolina kind of got, below the belt in playoffs when they found out and they wouldn't have their, Vezina caliber goaltender and Anderson, and you kind of saw what was missed for Carolina in the second round against the New York Rangers when they kind of got just beaten Game 7. It was kind of a harsh Game 7 to watch for Carolina Hurricanes fans for sure. But you got this veteran player in Max Pacioretty, and honestly, it looks like a great upgrade to your offense that already has your young, promising core towards it. Mm-hmm. And this sucks as well that more injuries caused it. So you probably won't see him till way later in the season. But yeah, you're right. Hopefully he does return to that prime form that we used to know him back in Montreal even. Oh, those were the days.
I can see a lot of people were saying this. Is this the spark at the end for Pacioretty's career? And I hope not. He's 33. He still has time to make more of a name for himself. But it's tough, right? Especially, it's a weird thing, but honestly, this could work really well. There's really no risk, right? Because you didn't get him for anything. The only risk is, of course, your cap stuff. So, let's see. They're under $1 million right now, and that's not even with Pacioretty on LTIR right now. So once they put him on there, right, then you'll have $6 million? 5 million. You'll have 5, or 6, yeah. You'll have $6 million to deal with. So, right, maybe you can sign someone, Gardner is on that LTIR too, right? So
Oh yeah,
see when he comes back.
Jake Gardner. Wow.
Other than that, though, I think Carolina's fine, right? Anderson's back. Hopefully, you just gotta keep him healthy, and then of course, let the defense, no problem with it. Brett Burns, of course, added too, right? Older Slavin Shade, Pesci, Bear, Coughlin, Chatfield.
Wow, I didn't realize Carolina kind of went their the veteran leadership way, especially on those two trades with Pacioretty and Burns. I didn't even think about that until now.
Maybe they want that veteran presence, right? I think that's why Martin Hook's such an important player to this team.
Well, I guess they are so young too, as well. If you look at them all around,
well, very much, right? Like Aho's 25, Svetch is 22, Teravaino's 27, so he's prime. Kotkaniemi's 22, 23 is Marty Necas. Then Seth Jarvis is 20, right? So you got a lot of young players, and the oldest player would be Burns at 37. But before that, like, their oldest player would have been in their 30s, so it would have been either 33, either Antti Ranta or Jordan Staal, right? So
actually, yeah, that is a very young team. So maybe it was the right call for Carolina to add some veteran presence to that team. It might need it. Especially if you go on a deep run too, you need those
playoffs
players
and stuff. I mean, I think a player like Burns knows what the capacity of trying to get to the playoff, trying to get to a good spot in the playoffs.
Especially get through those deep runs. He's been there too.
Yeah,
been to the finals, lost, sadly.
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, Carolina gets a little bit of a phase shift a little bit, but I don't see anything with it. Carolina's always been kind of consistent. I don't see why they wouldn't be consistent again this year.
Yeah, they're on the ups for sure, especially with these two additions.
Very much so, right? And I was just gonna see what their AHL team was looking like. Anyways, but yeah, so that's pretty much Carolina.
I think we got two big more news.
Anything onto that though, but besides injuries, which really sucks, it's good to get them out of the way. I just hope that these players can kind of come back and not feel the repercussions too much. It's like seeing Monahan, right? I really hope he comes back. It sucks seeing him like that. And we've seen his career fall from grace because of the injuries, right? So
seem too many.
Hopefully it just works out for these players. But yeah, anyways, we'll keep going on. So those trades, those signings. Sorry, okay. So Arizona, they signed Lawson Krause to a 5-year deal worth $4.3 million. I honestly could have just put this in the not as important because it's just Arizona. I just thought it was someone wants to stay with Arizona.
Fair enough.
Someone wants to hang out with the college kids, I guess, or something. But you got that, and then now these are the ones that I'm intrigued in. So you have David Krejci. He comes back this year to the Boston Bruins, signs 1-year deal worth $1 million, but he gets a performance bonus of $2 million. And then as well, Patrice Bergeron. He decides to go for at least one more year, signs for $2.5 million, with another $2.5 million paid out to him if he plays over 10 games. Boston is in a weird situation, hey?
Boston is in a very weird situation. Yeah, I kind of saw these last two signings with Krejci and Bergeron, and I'm like, this is Boston's last dance before they truly make a decision of next year where they want to take the rest of this team, right? Because, it's a last dance situation. It's the go big, go home for Bergeron, because how many UFAs did you say they have next year? Almost 8.
So after this season, they have I think I counted 11. So here's a pretty important one: David Pastrnak, right? And who has publicly said how he doesn't agree with the actions of Sweeney firing their previous head coach and oh my goodness.
You're blanking, aren't you?
I'm blanking out right now.
All right, it's okay.
We'll cut it out again. I can
always edit, but...
Yeah, okay, let me just restart that here.
All right.
So then, so of course you have... I think I said 11 of them.
Oh,
so boy. David Pastrnak, right? UFA and the 2023-24 season. Now that's someone, of course, you want to get on as soon as you can. But he's already explained how he has a little bit of distaste for how Boston's kind of done a few things. Especially with the firing of Bruce Cassidy. I think that he did not enjoy that. But then as well, you have Nick Foligno, Pavel Zacha, Craig Smith, Bergeron again, Thomas Nosek, Chris Wagner, Trent Frederick is an RFA, David Krejci again, then Connor Clifton, and then Jeremy Swayman's an RFA. So, notable names, not too crazy, but the reason why I explain this, and I think why we want to talk about this, is because, think of it, this could literally mean the end of a specific era, end of an era for the Bruins. This entire team could be completely different come next season, like after this.
You could see David Pastrnak hit the free agency next summer.
You think it's going to happen?
Honestly, if Boston does make playoffs again, and they do make the deep run, I could see there's a possibility of them signing him, not long term, but maybe just for another 2 years or so. Mm-hmm. But if they just completely just shies of the bed here, I think they're probably he's gone next season, because like Boston's been aging, their core's been aging, and they've kept it for a very long time, and it hasn't gone them anywhere since, you could probably say, 2011. That's ballsy to say, but probably since 2011.
Well, I guess 2019 they did make the finals, right?
That is true. That is true. They did make the finals then, but sadly they lost. And honestly, you never get a medal for second place, right? You'll take that and lose, but you could see the potential downfall of the Boston Bruins after this season, and see everyone wanting to go.
It almost feels like it's because ever since Torrey Krug left. I'm not saying it's Torrey Krug, but it's like it feels
it's Torrey
like
Krug.
It's the Torrey Krug effect, hey?
It's like, the Torrey Krug.
That's crazy.
It's actually since Tuukka Rask left.
Yeah, good point.
That is when it truly started.
And he had his injury. It's a very weird time, and I would be worried as a Bruins fan. I 100% would. Like,
you have no idea where your team's going.
It doesn't seem like they have. Like, let's look at like what they have for non-roster here. Like, I don't. Fabian Lysell is the one that sticks out for me. He's been doing good in the juniors.
Mm-hmm.
I've liked seeing some of his highlights, but I mean, like, what else here that looks somewhat intriguing per se when it comes to their the minor team or their
AHL
prospects. I don't know, like Connor Carrick, I guess. From the minors, say.
Yep.
But there's nothing. I mean, like the Fabian Lysell, I think that'll be a good pick. But I don't know. I mean, I guess you're in the comments there if you guys want to see. Is there any like Bruins prospects that we don't know of that might be good? Like I said, I don't really have anything in mind right now per se. But yeah, this team could look completely different. And like I'm not really confident in them making the playoffs just with their division and stuff. Like a lot of these I don't know.
I'm just looking at their like division right now. They're in the Atlantic Division, and there's a lot of contenders in that because you still have Florida. Florida won the Presidents last year, got kicked out, but they got Matthew Tkachuk from us. They lost Huberdeau and a great defenseman in Weegar, but they still have that probably true contender. Like they'd probably make playoffs again. You saw Toronto. Yeah, I could see them making playoffs, first round exit again. Tampa Bay, 100%. Buffalo was 5th behind Boston last season, but I don't see them making it.
They'll play with some house money in the sense, like, I think they want to definitely try and, like, prove wrong.
Yeah.
But, of course, it's not, they don't make it. It's not like it's like a big loss.
No, exactly. And then you look at Detroit. Detroit also got a lot of pieces. Will they be this? I could see them being the same, but improving a little bit.
Yeah.
Because even this year was a huge improvement on how they were playing. So I'll give them a benefit of the doubt on that one. Ottawa even made a huge piece. I could see Ottawa making a wild card spot.
Very much playoff potential. It's possible. Yeah.
I could see them taking the wild card spot from Boston this year even. And then Montreal, they're kind of... They might not be last this year. They might not.
No, that's true, right?
That's about it. That's all I got.
Everyone wants Bedard.
Everyone wants Bedard. No, I think Chicago will. I low-key could see Chicago getting first-round pick next year. First overall pick goes to him.
Hawk? That'd be weird, eh?
Oh, that would bug me because I'm like, wow, they just replaced Patrick Kane.
No, literally, right? When he goes to good old Buffalo there.
If he goes to Arizona, I'll laugh.
No, I think he goes to Buffalo. Has to be. Yeah, it's very weird for Boston. And you talked about those are 3 for sure. To me, Florida, Tampa, Toronto. And so that's
your first 3 spots.
That takes off your first 3 spots. And then wild card might be a bit difficult. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but Boston's in that very weird. It just depends, right, what happens this season, right? And, of course, the performance of this season might determine if some players feel, hey, I want to, like, keep on with the team, or, no, I think I'd find some better luck elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll see. Boston's in a weird position. At least they have their draft stuff. I mean, like, they have all their first-round picks. They don't have 2 second rounds. But they have their 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I mean... We'll see.
I guess we'll have to see. And any of the fans of the teams that we just mentioned in a little bit of discussion, please drop in the comments below, and I want to see what you guys think of what your teams could potentially have for next season, and what could they do, I guess. I would like to see what you guys think. And anyways, we got one more piece of news before we head to our main segment, if I'm correct. T-Dog, if you want to continue with that.
I think I've said everything.
Jacob Trouba.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I... There's really no way to, like, transition it, but... okay, well... Bergeron.
Keeping on the East.
Speaking of Patrice Bergeron, who's a captain... Or, yeah, in the Eastern Conference, an Eastern Conference team has just named a captain.
What?
That's true. Jacob Trouba has been named captain of the New York Rangers. So... Here's the thing.
Out of every single one, really? Jacob
I gotta
Trouba?
say, it's funny for the memes because everyone in the comment sections are like, C for cheap shot. And I'm like, yeah, that's good.
That's a pretty good one.
Now, okay, there is, of course, the naysayers saying, gotta be Kreider. See it, man. Kreider deserves a little more recognition. He got some good recognition this year, but
Captaincy
he
would
a
have
little bit more.
He'd probably deserved it more captaincy, though.
I don't really... I think, honestly, we have to always remember, though, there's a reason why that certain players, get this, and of course, because we don't go in the locker room, but they're in the locker room, so there's a reason, right? I guess I should have brought my Rangers jersey.
Yeah, we should have totally brought
the Rangers
jersey.
I gotta say, like, the players just must, like, him being around, must just be a good presence there, and he must help the team just push them to achieve more. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I just, to be honest, when, I really thought it was going to be one of their already A's, right?
Yeah.
I could have seen either Zibanejad out of Kreider, so. But I don't know. What do you think about this one?
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. When I heard the Jacob Trouba, got captaincy, I kind of had a little bit of a flashback to Jacob Trouba in, like, Winnipeg when he was, like, just starting off before he went to go play for the Madison Square Gardens. But... I thought he was still a great developing defenseman there, and then once he took the jump over to New York, I saw him get a little bit better, but yeah, again, we're never in the locker room, so we don't truly know how he is towards players or anything, but maybe he completely does deserve this, maybe he doesn't at all. Again, like I was saying before, I'm very shocked Krejci, or I would even say Zibanejad I'm very shocked those two players weren't getting a C, but... I mean, maybe he does have that good reason. I don't think he has the crazy amount of playoff veteran leadership to the room, but, I mean, if it's a guy that will talk in front of a room and get players pumped when they need to, I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He might deserve it completely.
100%, right? And, well, okay, I was looking at comments there when it was announced, and my favorite one, of course, has to be they're really going to use this as an excuse to, like, try and justify their $8 million per year they pay him. I'm like, yeah.
That's how they prove he's worth $8 million.
It is an odd one. I definitely got to say, in the sense, but, of course, we're not Rangers fans, so it might seem more odd to us than, like, Rangers fans themselves, but it seems like even them, I think Kreider, I think Kreider was number 1, and then Zibanejad number 2. I could see why maybe not Panarin, but, like, I mean, Reeves probably wouldn't get anything because, I mean, he doesn't play on the roster for all 82 games, but...
Hey, he's there when they need him. That's why he's the true
at least it wasn't Adam Fox.
Oh, that was a great game to go to. That was a great game to go to.
It works out here, so they got to see. Seems like the team's starting to really piece themselves together. I mean, I'm excited for the Rangers this season, honestly. I mean...
Yeah, me too.
I don't think some teams really need to worry about a C. I don't think the C does anything with this team. I think it just keeps them how they are. Rangers are am impressed how quick they got out of their retool. So maybe I'm just a little jealous, but
Maybe.
Good for them. Congrats to Jacob Trouba. And anything else you have to say about that?
All right, boys. Now this is the time for the main segment. We were going to do something kind of fun. I'm going to go like this with our photo, and now you see the bracket fight. We've never done this before. We've been trying, obviously, with the tier list, but I thought we'd do something a little bit different. So now that you're going to see on the screen, we have the best NHL players of all time bracket fight. We got a few legends on this list, like Gretzky, Lemieux, Bobby Orr. You go through the whole list. Weirdly enough, there's only one goalie on this list. So maybe if you guys want to see a best goalies of all time fight, maybe we'll do that. So maybe also drop that in the comments below if you're interested. But yeah, we'll go right into the list. We'll start off with our first matchup, and I'm going to use this. We've got good old number 4 Bobby Orr versus Colorado's own Patrick Waugh. And I'm not going to lie, this is going to be a little bit tough because you're looking at a defenseman and you're looking at a goaltender. So there is a lot to look at here with both players.
This one's tough for me. Well, especially because it's like 2 different positions. And here's the thing. Waugh, to me, is goalie number 1 of all time. I in my opinion, yes. Now, Bobby Orr, man, imagine the recognition he would get even more if he never had injuries and he had a fulfilled career such as Gretzky or even, I guess Lemieux somewhat finished. I mean, he had a little bit of a pause. Anyways, but Orr was such a game changer to the defense, in my opinion. There we go. I mean, 915 points in 657 games. That's crazy, right? Like, almost 300 points over. And I mean, he had so much more he could have played, right? It just sucked with injury. And he really, to me, he helped evolve the defense, right? I don't think before that you would even hear like a defenseman like skate up the puck that much and be that offensively minded and offensively destructive or defensively dangerous. But Patrick Waugh, right? Like, there's a reason why Habs won more cups. Same with why Colorado won, right? They don't win them without Waugh, I don't think, right?
Yeah. Right. So you got probably one of the I would possibly say the best defenseman of all time versus possibly either number 1 or number 2 best goalie of all time. You're looking at those two right now. And how Waugh changed the game for goaltending is amazing enough. What Bobby Orr did in the 60s and 70s to evolve the game to like another level, I think is the difference maker to me. Like, Bobby Orr won 2 cups. He's won endless Norrises with Boston. And it really did suck that he had a shorter career. But it is really hard, but I think this one goes to Bobby Orr. I really do.
You think it goes to Bobby Orr?
I still think what Bobby Orr did for the game and the evolution towards a defenseman and him just over the years, he's been the number 1 definitive defenseman in the NHL. I could possibly say that. Yeah. Waugh, there's been more question to it over the last 20 to 30 years in goaltending because it's already evolved. Almost every 10 years you see a new goaltender. But with Bobby Orr, that's never changed.
That's a good point. I mean,
this is fun.
Nick Lindstrom there's a reason why he's considered the greatest of all time, and I understand that. I really think Orr, of course, would be no question if it wasn't for injuries again. But was Nick Lindstrom was he evolutionary to the position? I don't know if he was.
Not as much as Bobby Orr was, in my opinion.
Because
that's tough. That is tough, and you do make a good point. But I think Bobby Orr would.
Waugh is the number 1 goalie of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
That is. Oh, I wouldn't know.
Besides Jonas Hiller, it goes Patrick Waugh.
Yeah.
You know what? Just to make it easier, I'll go Bobby Orr.
Hey, there we go. All right.
Bobby Orr, although I think Waugh, of course, like, this just sucks, man, because Waugh really is the best goalie of all time.
All right.
That's hard, man.
So the first one goes to Bobby Orr. And now we have a fun matchup. We got Mario Lemieux versus Beliveau. Here we go. Who you got?
All right, so gotta give the love to John Beliveau, though. I mean, there's a reason why. Maurice Richard, the career dwindles down, and Beliveau comes in. He comes that kind of next star. He always was a star, right? Like he is a Montreal folklore legend and has a statue for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
but of course Lemieux is on a different path, and I mean, of course, the fact that people say, you know what, Lemieux and other circumstances would have had more points than Wayne Gretzky, that says something else, right? It's just Mario Lemieux, right? Like he could do it all. He really could.
If he had a long career, there was a lot of talk of Lemieux passing Gretzky in those points, and I think that alone just tells what kind of a different level 100%. Lemieux was compared to so many other players in this league.
You just can't. But to me, my pick is gonna be Lemieux, but it's just you can't not mention Beliveau without saying legends, right? Like
honestly,
the amount of Habs legends for say, I think he still is really up there.
That's also why I wanted to do this, because you look at almost every player on this list and it's just a legend. Like, it's absolutely insane. But I think I might have to agree with you. I think Lemieux was just on a completely different level. And Beliveau, you had a great Montreal time in Montreal, a great career, but I think this one does have to go to Lemieux in the long run. I think this one goes to Lemieux, eh?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to have to be it, yeah.
All right, sure. We moved on from Mario Lemieux, and now, now this one's going to be funny. So we have Lidstrom versus Guy Lafleur. Now,
I hate this. This is hard.
This is hard, but oh, brother, how the heck do I even think about this? Hard.
The fact that we have the different positions, different eras, makes it hard. Lindstrom is, man,
this is breaking him. This is breaking him having this conversation.
I just think, because when I think of Lindstrom, I'm thinking about Makar right now.
Yeah.
It's I think he really is the next Lindstrom. And why would you say that unless he wasn't that legendary? Lindstrom was phenomenal. It was a treat to watch him as I started, his career dwindled down as soon as we were able to start watching, of course. But Lafleur there's a reason why he's on the 100 greatest players. There's a reason why they're all on the 100 greatest players, right? Lafleur also had the influence, same thing, right? Beliveau comes in Lafleur, and he becomes that fan favorite, same thing. Legendary.
Yeah.
And have a great, it's just, the first few seasons weren't the greatest, but then comes 74-75 season, bumping 100 points on average, right? 136 points in the 76-77 season.
Yep.
A lot of love for Lafleur, right? And it's like this. If you were to ask who's the greatest Hab of all time, the greatest skater Hab of all time, how that's so hard. But of course, Lafleur is probably is got to be tied with them.
I think Guy Lafleur. Right? If you think of any if you went up to someone in Montreal right now and asked name a legendary Montreal Canadian right now, they mostly would probably say Guy Lafleur, because that's the main guy you probably go to. Most people would say Carey Price, low key, but you would hear probably Guy Lafleur in that conversation as well. And
you know what? I think it's gonna be Lindstrom, just because I think of.
Really? I was going to go Guy Lafleur. Oh, boy. Really? You thought Lindstrom... I got to admit, Lindstrom did have a big effect in the game, too. He was, one of those notable 90s, 2000s, into 2010s, technically, defensemen. But, that's tough. He was there for the big Stanley Cup wins in Detroit as well. But Guy Lafleur kind of, really boosted that... for Montreal back in the 70s too. So
those teams are legendary, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely legendary.
I personally was going to say Guy Lafleur in this situation, but on the impact that Lidstrom did have to Detroit, I think I will go with Lindstrom in this. That's really tough to say because it is Guy Lafleur, but I think I might go with you on this one, putting Lindstrom. Okay. You all good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right, so Lindstrom wins that round, surprisingly. This is going to be a fun round. So we have the great one, Wayne Gretzky versus Mark Messier. Wayne Gretzky versus Mark Messier.
What's funny is that Messier has more cups than Gretzky.
Does he?
By 2. Because Gretzky never was there for the final one, but Messier was there.
But Gretzky also leads the whole league in points, assists.
I was just trying to whatever. You know what? Gretzky's the great one. There's a reason why. I always say this about Gretzky, because everyone's like, he wouldn't have made it in this day and age. How I see it is this. Modern players get modern training. Old school players got old school training. If Gretzky got modern training, right?
I think he would be even
I
scarier.
think he still would be in the same thing, right? Like, but think of it. Gretzky did all this being just an average-sized person, right? Wasn't on the heaviest, couldn't fight. Of course, he had like McSorley to help him out. Rest in peace to him. But it's and other enforcers. But Gretzky was just he's just always on another level.
Yeah, that's
Just
very true.
phenomenal what he did in his time. But Messier, of course, had his whatever. Canucks fans are crying right now. They hate Messier. Absolutely hate him.
What he did with the Rangers, hell boy, that was fun.
Well, that when he came to Vancouver, right? But of course, yeah, I guess that is funny situational irony, eh?
Yeah, literally,
Think
right?
about that. It's so funny.
That was the first thing that popped into my
Yeah.
mind when the Rangers beat Vancouver in the 90s.
The '94 series, yeah, no,
94.
for sure. It's but there's. It's got to be Gretzky, but
Yeah.
the thing about Messier, man, he's a goon, man. He's dirty. He did some dirty plays, to be honest. Like, I'll watch some highlights. I'm like, dude, you cannot get away with that anymore. And not just being because, like, the game's soft. No, you cannot headhunt like that, right? Like,
No.
you can't do that anymore. But, man, he was a nasty, grittier. There's a reason. Like, my dad, right, like, he's got a Messier jersey at home, right? And I think it's because, like, well, that's who you grew up with, I guess, more than for, say, Gretzky. So I find you talk to a lot of, like, Edmonton fans, the older ones, and a lot of them remember more of Messier just because they're more or less around more for Messier's end than Gretzky's end, just because he was with Edmonton just a little longer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love for Messier, of course, and I think it's because him being a St. Albert boy, right? So, of course, him also being, like, an Edmontonian, but Gretzky's Gretzky, man.
That is very true, and I also agree. I think Gretzky won by a landslide. Nothing against Messi. He is up there in the legends talk, but when you look at when you compare the two, it's just Gretzky all the way. And I think we move on from there. And how this list is now working, it's going to give us the results and tell who's last on the one side of the bracket, then we move to the other. This one's really going to suck. Bobby Orr versus Mario Lemieux.
I think it's still off the goal with Lemieux.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is
Love Orr, but to me, Lemieux really is that number 2 seed greatest of all time. I kind of.
That's really tough because like Orr, it has to be like top 5.
Orr is so top. That's what sucks about this, man.
Oh my
Who's
god!
better, who's
I was
worse?
gonna say Orr, but now I'm stuck.
It's such a difficult one with these legends, right? Like
These guys both have really short careers too, if you think about it too. They didn't play like full, long season.
no, Lemieux did have technically longer. Imagine if he didn't have his unfortunate like health issues, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but man.
I think I might.
Tough.
You know what?
I think Lemieux for me, man. I think it's got to be Lemieux. Bobby Orr, man.
As a defenseman and what Bobby Orr is, I would low-key choose him in this, but I think I'll agree with you this time and say Mario Lemieux would beat him on this list, 100%. And then we move to Lidstrom and Wayne Gretzky, but I'm assuming we're both going to choose Gretzky.
But remember, though, of course Gretzky, but like Lindstrom, right? I don't know.
It's hard to just
It's
throw
all
away
about
defensemen in
defensemen.
this scenario because we know what's probably the next matchup.
Yeah. But
So I'm gonna choose Gretzky. He obviously wins this scenario, but then we have the big one: Mario Lemieux versus Wayne Gretzky.
I can see why people would pick Lemieux.
I really do too, but it's so hard to just skip over the excellence of
His
the great
accolades
one,
and
Wayne
everything.
Gretzky.
He played
Every
for
single time you look at this scenario, you'll probably always say Gretzky just because you saw what he did through his career. And I think this is the hardest matchup for sure because you look at one guy and he's known as the best NHL player of all time. Then you look at the other one and he could have possibly been the next one to take over best of all time if he didn't have a short career.
Are we talking about Brendan Lemieux? Because then 100% that's over like Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, yes. If
Yeah.
it's Brendan Lemieux, it's over Wayne Gretzky. But
100%.
Mario Lemieux, I'm sorry, but I think Wayne Gretzky still wins this
I
scenario.
hurts to do, man.
I know it does. I really does. But
Like, because like let's just like his total NHL points, man, 1,709. That's still crazy.
how many games did he play?
1,700 in 915 games. He didn't even play 1,000.
No.
And like of course like Gretzky, right? Like
Searching up Gretzky right now, rebooting.
I can't remember how many over 2,000, of course, but
I'm curious how many games.
Officially it was like almost 3,000 points, 2,857 points, right? Like that's
How many games did he play?
1,400.
That's the difference.
I wish it'd show me like a point per game because I don't want to do the math, but it's just it's a crazy.
I think that tells
he
the
did that,
discussion itself, and I do think Gretzky does win this round.
Like let's just look. Okay, Gretzky had 97 points in 82 games in the 96-97 season. Like, he literally was always over a point per game until that last season, where he was 8 points under 70. Or where he had 70 games played. That's just crazy. Like, he's still, like, closer to retirement. Like, the fact that he scored, like, 215, 205, 208, 183, 149, like, that's just... Man, I wish I was allowed to watch that. I really do. And then let's get into the playoff stats, right? Like, oh my goodness. But yeah. Yeah. That makes sense why we pick him.
I think Gretzky is the obvious choice, and he obviously takes number one on the left side of our bracket, and then we move on to the right side of our bracket. We got Alex Ovechkin versus Brett Hall.
No, but get controversy. Don't care. Alex Ovechkin.
100%.
The reason why I say it, it's just the fact that he could be the greatest goal scorer of all time, passing Gretzky's record come say 4 or 5 years.
He could
That's
do it.
crazy,
He
man.
did sign for that long for that reason.
What he does is phenomenal. Like, it's just that Hall. I don't know. You just don't think of Brett Hall so much when you think of like just great. Like when you think of greatest of all time, of course you do, but you don't think of him as like there with like number 1, 2, 3.
He isn't. I wouldn't say he's a top 10 of all time, but I would say he is pretty close to up that list, and that's probably why we see him here exactly. But I think this one goes to Ovechkin. What Ovechkin has done to also evolve the game of scoring, especially with the one-timer, oh my God. He probably one of the best Russian players to ever come out of Russia.
Hall had 1,391 points in 1,269 games. He scored 741 goals. So, Ovechkin has 41 goals. Alex Ovechkin has 780 goals, right? So he's already passed it. There you go, right? Like,
yeah.
It's just...
I think Ovi wins this scenario. If you agree with me, I will click and move on.
No, 100%. He's,
Okay.
like I said, he's going to pass the 894. So, yeah.
He probably will. I wouldn't be that surprised. So the next matchup we have Steve Yzerman versus Maurice Richard. This is actually a really good matchup as well, because we talk about Steve Yzerman as all the time as a GM. Not as a player, though, but mostly as a GM.
For sure. We also won a lot of cups. Both these players won a lot of cups, eh?
They both did.
But I gotta say that Maurice Richard was that first kind of like superstar goal scorer, right? And Maurice Richard, talk more about Montreal legends. He was a legend.
He was up there too in that Legends talk. But
Raketa Richard, 544 goals. So, 978 games, he had 544 goals.
Oh wow.
So Yzerman did have more goals.
Huh.
But you know what? I think for the impact of the game, I think that makes him more of a legend and stuff. I want to go with Maurice Richard. But Yzerman, of course, what he's done with the hockey as well. I mean, he has a lot of influence, but yeah, that's what I think. Steve Yzerman. Let me just compare points again. Yzerman had 692, 1,700 points. 498 games. Yeah, in my opinion, I think Maurice Richard is. That's me. Yzerman, of course.
It's really tough. It's really
But
tough with these two.
Detroit had that dynasty team, man, or somewhat of a dynasty team. You don't want to call it that.
Decently dynasty.
Cranbrook, BC boy, hey.
Yep. I think I also have to agree with you. Maurice Marchand put such a saying to the game. I think a little bit more than Steve Yzerman. If you had to put it like a GM, who's a better GM, I would say Steve Yzerman. But I think just the effect that Maurice Marchand put on the game, they even got a trophy named after him and everything for the most goals. And I think this round does go to Maurice Marchand. It's really tough. Like, this is getting tougher and tougher because once you choose one legend, you know it's going to be a better legend than a verse. And you have to compare it just to the numbers. And yeah, I think I would say Yzerman, but I think it's Maurice Marchand as well, honestly. Now we move on to our third matchup of the bracket. We got Sid the Kid Crosby versus Bobby Hall. And I don't really think this is as hard as I think it is, but I think Sidney Crosby got it.
Sid the Kid is just...
He was the generational talent for the 2010s.
Right, like he's still the face of the NHL for me.
He's still a top 5 player this year alone. I would still say he's still a top 5 player right now in the league, and I think he getting a little bit of slack lately the last few years, but I still think Crosby's still a top 5 player. And no disrespect to Bobby Hall either. He had a great career with Chicago, and
1,170 points in 1,063 games.
Oh wow!
610 goals, man. It's impressive, right? Like,
that is.
A great career. It's just Crosby is Crosby, man.
I think it's really hard to beat Crosby in this scenario, so I think we should give it to him in this round.
Honestly, I mean, like 500. He doesn't. In 1,400 points, right? Compared to the Hall's 1,170, and
I think he's got more cups than Hall as well.
More games and 517 goals compared. Now he does have more NHL goals. Bobby Hall does, right? But I just think all around, like, just what Crosby has done for that Penguins organization. He's easily right. As soon as he retires, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Jersey retired next day, kind of thing. Like, that's how it is, man. Crosby is just. It's amazing. It's been amazing. We're very fortunate to watch his career. Yeah. Right. So.
I think it's nice. I think it's nice to say that with a lot of players, that especially this year.
100%.
It's insane the level of generational talent this year has come. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'll give this one to Crosby. We'll move on to our final matchup. This is going to be a hard matchup for both of us. You got Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howser. Gordie. And then you got number 68, Jaromir Jagr.
That is tough.
Yeah, right? Like,
because Jagr is second in points of all time.
But it's Gordie. How?
Think of Gordie, man. It's
Gordie.
Gordie's a beast, bro. Gordie was a beast. Without Gordie, I don't think you have a Gretzky, right? Like,
without Gordie, you don't have a Gretzky. Without Gordie, you possibly don't have like an NHL how it is today. That's.
But Jagr, man, was just impressed. But he played a lot.
Here's hard.
The thing. Gordie played. Wait, you know what's crazy about both these players? I was just gonna say, because Gordie Howe played in his 50s, but Jagr also still plays professional hockey. They both have had extended careers, and just they're not human, right? Like,
I think they're still number 1 and number 2 for most games played, like, ever in the NHL.
It's funny how that organized that, hey? That's tough, man.
So I think, oh my God, we literally chose
because
like the worst match.
Howe really has left more of a legacy, and that's hard to say, because Jagr, some of his shine did get his outshined a little bit by Lemieux, right? A little bit, right? And
he was kind of looked on as a sidekick on that, and it kind of sucks, especially with Jagr. How he had such a great carear too. I think I gotta say Gordie.
I think I gotta say Gordie, man.
I hate to do this to Jagr.
Sorry, Jagr, man, but
we love Jagr, but it's
gotta be Gordie, man.
It's gotta be Gordie. It's gotta be Gordie. All right, so now we move on to the second round in the bracket. We got the great one, the great 8, not the great 1. My bad. We got the great 8, Alex Ovechkin versus Maurice Marchand. Now,
I'm just glad it wasn't Sidney Crosby right now.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Goal scorers, man. Ovechkin could become the greatest goal scorer of all time, but Maurice Marchand says at first, I think it's got to be Ovi though, man. That sounds crazy, but the way it's evolved and stuff, that what Ovi's still doing nowadays in the modern era. Just crazy.
It's kind of funny too that like this matchup happened because the Maurice Marchand trophy is the most goals of all time, and the one that's been always getting it recently is Alex Ovechkin.
It's like the beginning of it and the progression towards what it is nowadays. Like, it's just crazy.
I think I might agree with you, and this might not just be able to. We're not giving love to the older players. Maybe that's what people are going to think of us right now. But honestly, I think Ovi will probably surpass him in just overall play. Like,
Yeah,
I love what Ovi did for the game, and it's nuts. But you're also going to hate me on this matchup too.
Yeah,
It's Sid the Kid versus Gordie Howe.
it's tough, man. Gordie Howe had more of a legacy, of course. I think. Nope, that's gonna be tough to say though.
That's so tough to say.
Can't say that. I hate this bracket.
Yeah,
It sucks.
it does because
This is hard.
now you either choose who's versing Ovi and who's going to verse the great. Okay.
Can we just say Crosby just we have an Ovi versus Sid debate?
Oh, I hate doing that to him though, man.
That'd be
Like,
kinda funny.
the legacy already left was like unbelievably legendary, but I really want to have the Sid the Kid. I really want to have the Sidney Crosby
This
talk.
is so
Okay,
tough,
no
man.
disrespect, R.I.P. Gordie Howe, but I think I'll choose Crosby. Like, I hate to say it, and we're gonna get criticized the crap at because
I don't
of
want to
this.
say that either, man. But
Like, I feel dirty saying
it
Ugh.
does. It feels illegal.
It feels illegal to press this button to click the next player, but I might as well do it.
All right. Let's
I'm
do
sorry.
it.
And now we come to the finals. That probably shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
but we got Alex Ovechkin versus Crosby. Okay, we
Dude,
got our
this is-
debate. We
let's
got our
debate.
debate. We got so basically these guys were drafted like a year apart from each other. So we got Ovi drafted, and then the next year Crosby drafted. These guys both came into the league and just dominated right off the bat. In the 2010s, they were known as the two best players, I would say, of that generation.
Always the rivalry.
So now-
like how we have with, I mean, there's not really a rivalry compared with like McDavid and like Matthews, but it's in that sort of ballpark.
It's in that
It
ballpark.
is different though, right? Because of course, like I mean, once McDavid's career is done, we'll be putting him up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be with Matthews too, right? But yeah, it's hard, right? 5-6.
I think of it as so Ovi is probably the best, is the better scorer in this situation.
Yeah,
But I think Crosby
Well,
almost beats him in almost everything
let's remember,
else.
Ovechkin is the goal scorer,
Yep.
right?
Crosby is
But
a
Crosby
playmaker.
is that position exactly. That's why I kind of related to McDavid and like of course
Mm-hmm.
McDavid can score, but like Matthews is the goal scorer and McDavid is the playmaker, right? But anyways, like yeah, exactly, right. And it's the impact of what Crosby's done. He's won more cups, and you can put it to that awards.
I think it's Crosby
tough,
that
man.
wins this list.
I think you're right. I think it has to be that Crosby. I think ultimately is the better player.
Yes.
And Crosby would have way more points than Ovechkin if it wasn't for injuries.
That is very true because I don't believe
Like
Crosby is
is
true.
legitimately a point behind Ovechkin, but he's played 100 games less, pretty much. He's
That's
played
pretty
over 100 games less.
That's pretty insane to think,
Yeah,
especially with
1409,
Crosby.
1410.
He's never had in his if I think this is correct, when he's always had an injured season, he's always put up a point per game or even more.
Crosby, 81 games,
Every
102,
season.
120, 72, 53, 103, 77, 109, 81, 66.
He's a point per game player, and it's absolute nuts.
He's a point per game player every season here.
And I think that depends. I think that just shows that.
Like
yeah,
even
Crosby's
this
better.
season, like that's how you know, like the league has shifted off, right? Let's go talk about the new guys. But we gotta give the credit, man. The fact that he had his injury and came back, played 69 games, nice, and scored 84 points. He was still 31 goals this season. That's crazy.
That is
and
nuts.
he's what 36,
I think 36.
35. He's 35.
Oh, even better.
Right? Like that's just crazy.
I think that's
Ovi
nuts,
is-
dude. I
yeah,
think that's
36.
absolute nuts. But I think we're on to our last matchup, Tristan.
All right.
So we got the great one, Wayne Gretzky, versus Sid the Kid. You could possibly look at these of like passing the torch in a sense, because you could go
Very much
Gordie
so.
Howe passed it over to Gretzky. Then you could possibly say Gretzky passed it over to Crosby. Then you could possibly say Crosby passing it over to McDavid right now. So there's a lot of weird connections with that.
That's true. It's a good point. And I mean, like, let's look. All had their legacy really has shaped the NHL for what it is.
Yeah, totally.
It's. You gotta go Gretzky, though.
Yeah.
I think we already know who's going to win this one.
Yeah, we already knew who was going to win. It is Gretzky that does come on top of this
Crosby really
list.
does deserve it. Crosby does deserve. When he retires, we'll see all the recognition. We'll see the love. It'll come even more than what it is. And it'll suck when he retires, because what's going to happen is we're all going to reminisce on it and be like, I missed the era when Crosby was still in the league.
Yeah.
Right? And he's still in the league.
He's still in the league, and him and Ovi still in the league, grinding, and they're doing great so far.
Yeah.
I would love to at least see Crosby get one more cup.
It would be cool.
Maybe even Ovi. I need a summer of Ovi again.
2018 was a banger.
Oh, it was a banging year.
That was I love that finals, man. So many good stories.
So many.
It was a great ending. And as someone who didn't care about both teams, just love it. You just love it.
It was a good year for the NHL.
A great year,
but hey, if you look up above, that's what the bracket is. Wayne Gretzky coming on top with Crosby second. I would love to hear what you guys think of the bracket. See if you guys want us to do any more like this. Maybe we'll be a little bit more prepared. But yeah, I think we had tons of fun with this. And T-Dog, do you got any last words?
Well, this was a success, just like Lafayette today against Czechia. So congrats on them. That
Yeah!
was pretty cool to see that. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please smash the like button. Maybe leave a comment if you'd like. You can follow us down on Instagram, Buzzsprout, Spotify, YouTube, not Twitter yet, TikTok. I think I had all that. You can find us on our link tree as well. We got our website there too. We'll start adding more and more. We've just been kind of busy as well. But hey, check us on there if you'd like. And thank you guys all. Thank you guys very much for all the support. You can tell we're tired. We're gonna go hit some hay there, get some sleep, and then hey, more hockey to talk about in other sports. Football season's coming around there, so that's pretty exciting. Anyways, guys, have a good one. Peace.